Hello and welcome to my channel. I love my friends. They are some amazing individuals, but you know what? You don't really find out the quality of your friends when you're just hanging out and having a great time. You know the quality of your friends, and you know the type of friend that you are when people go through the ups and downs of life, and especially in their most difficult times. We're going to talk about it in today's video. Let's go.
Sunday school.
Called to Heal is our international lesson study for Sunday, January 17th. My name is Waynell Henson. You know me as that Sunday School Girl, and my entire purpose is to cause people to fall in love with the Word of God and to change the way that people see Sunday school. I am so excited that you're here. You have to know it brings me such joy to spend these moments with you, and I do not take for granted your being here. I appreciate you for continuing to make choice of this community. I know you've got a lot of choices out there, but you elect to make TSSG your space, and I love you for it. Listen, if you're new around here, allow me to say welcome. You have just joined the largest cyber community on the World Wide Web. We are an amazing body of people who love God, love His Word, and we are becoming better as we study His Word together. Listen, I want you to get connected so that you don't miss anything when it comes out on this channel. Look down below. Click the subscribe button. You need to do that, but also look for the notifications bell. That will ensure that you don't miss any content. We currently upload at least 3 videos a week. We start together on Markup Monday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, where I share a free download with you and I go live, and hundreds of people join from all over the world as a preview of the reading for the week's Sunday school lesson. And then you can either come back here on Thursdays and review the video, or if you're not back in your traditional worship setting yet and you want to join live on Sunday mornings, I go live at 9:45 a.m. Central Standard Time for virtual Sunday school. There's also a youth video that uploads on Friday, sometimes Saturday-ish, that puts the lesson in a conversation that young people can understand. But I'm so glad that you're here. Be sure to let me know in the comments down below that you're new. Tell me how you found the channel. In the spirit of comments, anyone and everyone is welcome to leave a comment. If there's something that you hear in the video and you want to speak to, or maybe there's something in your notes and you want to share it back with me, that's the space to do it. And yes, I do read them. Finally, I need every single one of you, yes, you, to click that thumbs up like button. It doesn't cost you a thing to do it. As long as you're signed into your YouTube, you can click that thumbs up like. It tells YouTube the kind of content that you enjoy. It helps in our rankings, and yes, it encourages my heart. We've got an awesome lesson today, and I cannot wait to get into it with you. But before we do, if you're a teacher, are you a teacher and you are not in our 2-step continuous learning series? What are you waiting on? I had the most awesome Zoom session last weekend with an awesome group of people. We also have a private Facebook group that's approaching 100 members, and there we are sharing learnings. We're getting motivated. We're building each other up and really just becoming a safe space for those of us who are trying to deliver our best in our role serving God's people and making disciples. So information to join is down below. I would love to have you. I drop lots of freebies and good nuggets in there too. I hang out in the 2-step space, so get on over there and join us there. I also encourage you to be on our mailer list. I'm telling you now, I am dropping a very big announcement later today. It's Thursday, and I am dropping it today, but I'm going to drop it first in the email distribution. And so make sure that you visit ThatSundaySchoolGirl.com and get on our email list. I try not to send you junk. I send you good stuff if you are in Sunday school ministry or an amazing student. So I'm dropping it there, and then I'll put it on social media probably on Sunday or Monday. So Email people that get the early bird notice. Listen, we've got the lesson I told you is great this week. Let's make sure you're ready. Look down below. If you want my TSSG notes, they are always the first link in the description box below. If you have friends who are Spanish speaking, we now have our Spanish notes as well. And also make sure that you've got your Bible, your journals, pens, and handy dandy notebooks, because it's time for us to get into this lesson. Our lesson title is Called to Heal. The Bible basis is Mark chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. Our Bible truth: Jesus heals the paralytic man. Our memory verse is verse 9. And the lesson aim is that we will investigate Mark's account of Jesus' healing the man who was paralyzed, appreciate how one's physical, emotional, social, and spiritual needs are intertwined, and pray for God's healing grace to touch us at our most particular point of need. If you've been a part of our 21-day daily reading challenge, then getting into this lesson should be very easy for you, because there is such momentum that we've been building in reading those passages every day that speak to prayer, that speak to healing, that even speak to the types of people that are engaged in the process of healing. Yes, healing is indeed a process. And when I really think about healing, there are times that we need healing, and then there are times that we support others in their healing journey. So as we explore this lesson on call to heal, I think there's an opportunity to see ourselves in both spaces, because there are actually both represented as we look at this passage. Now, in my own life, probably my first real memories of being able to have a community of people that you really depend on when you need healing happened when my brother was maybe 4 or 5. I remember my parents being called to the daycare because he had started to have a seizure. And I just remember arriving and seeing the ambulance there. I knew that my brother was in distress. I could sense everything around with the adults and the level of concern. But the one thing that I remember the most is them calling my grandparents and my great-grandmother, because they knew without a doubt that they could pray. And that left such an impression on me when I think now about who do we call when we need someone to pray? Who do we depend on when we really need someone who can get us to Jesus? And so in this lesson, I absolutely see friends who were able to get someone to Jesus. We are in the book of Mark this week. Mark is one of the Gospels, and of course, Mark's writing style is different than the others. One thing that we know is that he shows Jesus on the move and meeting the needs of people. But what's really interesting about Mark is that it is a very fast-moving book. So it's interesting that Jesus starts out in the crowd in chapter 1. He's just a person in the crowd. And now we're to the point where he is the focus of the crowd. Like, people follow him wherever he goes. In chapter 1, he's been teaching in the synagogue. He casts out a demon there. He moves. He's now in chapter 2, in Capernaum. And we've talked about Capernaum in the last few weeks. Capernaum is in the region of Galilee, in the northern region. It actually becomes the place that Jesus sets up headquarters. But in this passage, he is in a home teaching. We'll get there in just a moment. But I do think it's important to really focus on the fact that ministries that are focused and delivering results are really ministries that get attention. And that's what's happened here. What's happening around Jesus is really the results of a results-driven ministry. It is the outcome, the reaction of the people. It is the reaction, that's a better way to say it, the reaction of a results-driven ministry. Jesus was so focused on his purpose. His purpose was not to work miracles and impress people. He says again and again that I must go and preach. Everywhere he went, there was sort of this hunger that was created because he was there as he preached. And yes, there were miracles, but there was this hunger to be near Jesus and to hear him and to take advantage of him being in their presence. And so as he's in Capernaum and in this house preaching, it is noised about. People are talking about the ministry. ministry. They seek him out. Back in chapter 1, verse 33, as a matter of fact, it tells us that there the entire city came out to see him. So again, people wanted what Jesus had, but he had to move on because he knew that his ministry was not for one particular place. He needed to get out and to touch as many people as he could. I think that's important even now, that ministry is not just for us, but we are to touch everyone that we can. We've got to be able to move ministry around. That's a whole conversation, especially in this digital space where we are. We can't get stuck in one space, but we're learning how to move ministry around and to meet people where they are. And so here he is in this house. And it is presumed that this is the home of Peter. In last week's lesson, in our background, we know that Jesus was at one point in the home of Peter, and his mother-in-law was healed. But we also know in scripture that the Son of Man didn't have a place to lay his head. And so we are presuming that he's at the house of Peter. He's been there for a few days. People know it. They've heard about it, and they came again to see Jesus because they knew that he could fix things that were hard. Now, there were some people that followed Jesus just because they were nosy and it was a popular thing to do. And then there's a group that followed Jesus just so they could come, and as one of my friends says, to sit in the seat of judgment. They came just to see what he would be doing so that they could criticize it. But at any rate, this house, as we see in verses 1 and 2, this house is packed. And again, he entered into Capernaum after some days, and it was noise that he was in the house. And straightway many were gathered together, insomuch that there was no room to receive them, no, not so much as about the door. And he preached the word unto them. So this is standing room only, even outside. There's nowhere else. Nobody else can get in this space. And we are very clear that these are not tricks. They are not games. Jesus is on assignment, and all he is doing is preaching the gospel. So have this visual of this house that's packed, their standing room only. And then here come some folks, and I refer to them as amazing friends. There are friends who come because they have someone in their tribe, in their community, in their cohort who is sick. He has need of a healing touch of Jesus. He's got something wrong. There is a condition in his body that he is not able to heal himself, a condition that they don't even have the answers for, but they are so confident that although the answer does not rest with them, that his healing was possible if they could just get their friend to Jesus. And so these friends, that's who they are. They come, these 4 friends, these friends with amazing faith. I want to pause there for just a moment and look at these friends, because I think this tells us a lot about the quality of friends that we should choose. And it also gives us a little insight on the friend that we should strive to be. First of all, these friends are attentive to even take time and realize that there was an issue with their friend. Now, of course, it's visual because he can't walk. He's got a condition called palsy. And so in his body, his muscles are not strong enough to carry him, but they are attentive. They are friends of action. They are friends of faith. They are friends of creativity and ones who don't take no for an answer. They are going to get their friend to Jesus. They are interested in their friend's condition. And I think it's important when we have people around us who are interested in how we're doing. When is the last time your friends just ask, "How are you?" When is the last time you have checked on your friends? Yes, even your strong friends. We should be concerned about the condition of our friends. And when they are not in their best spaces, just like this man, he was not in a good place, but his friends wanted something for him. They wanted healing for their friend. They come to this place and they have a goal in mind. Their goal is to get their friend to Jesus. How often do we work until we get someone to Jesus? And I thought this was important too, that the friend's condition, the man who is being carried on this cot or this bed or this mattress, he has a physical condition, but his condition is not mental. So when I think about that, on some level, I kind of see agreement here. He's not being brought to Jesus against his will. And later we even see that he has the cognitive ability to recognize the directions and to obey what Jesus says. So in my mind, this man is playing a part in his own healing. He is present in his own healing, and his friends are a part of that. So again, they bring their friend, but they're not able to get close because of the crowd. But that does not stop them. These are friends. Their faith drove them to get their friend to Jesus. But when they saw a barrier, their determination did not allow them to stop. They didn't turn around and say, well, too many people in the house. Guess we'll have to try it another time, or I guess you're not going to get healed today. No, they pushed and they found a creative way. And in fact, I call this extreme action to get to Jesus. What did they do? These houses would have had like stairs on the side where they were able to climb to the top. The roofs would have been made out of like slats with some type of clay covering them. And so they go to the roof and they begin with their own hands, putting in the physical work to literally begin to pull back parts of this roof. I love the creativity, but also the determination blesses me more than anything when you have friends who will not stop until you get what you need to be in the place where you are stronger again. And when they uncover this roof, they lowered their friend down to Jesus. Verse 5 tells us that when Jesus saw their faith, he said to the sick of the palsy, son, thy sins be forgiven thee. I circled the word when because I noticed that it was at this moment when Jesus observed the faith. And whose faith did Jesus observe? It says their faith. And I know that it's easy to say it was the faith of the friends. Absolutely. I believe that the friends had faith, and the faith impressed Jesus. It's not our work that impresses God, but our faith makes an impression on God. But again, not just the faith of the friends, but even a man who had his own cognitive ability to be carried into a place. I believe that he played a part in his own healing. I make a connection to the daily reading from Thursday where it talks about anyone who is sick. There is a cognitive space that we play in our own healing. When you are sick, you must make a connection and take an action to call for the elders. And then the elders are able to pray that you are restored. But there is a place that we all play in our own healing. And so for this man, I believe that he played a part. His faith even played a part in his own healing. Jesus speaks to the sick man. And notice that he doesn't speak to the condition in his body. He doesn't speak to his weak muscles or the palsy or the fact that he doesn't have the strength to hold up his own body. He speaks to the condition of his soul. He speaks to the sickness in his soul. Now, there is some stinking thinking. I already told you that there are people in the crowd, and there are those who are hungry for Jesus, those who are nosy about Jesus, and those who've come to judge Jesus. And in their stinking thinking, lots of judgment there. One piece of the judgment might have been that this man was sick because of some sin that he had committed, or because he had a poor soul condition. But that would have been an assumption that may have been unfair. In case that was at issue, Jesus spoke to it. Now, we would think that this should have been an amazing moment. A man has just been forgiven of his sins. Verse 6 tells us, though, that is not the case. It begins with the word but. But someone has an issue. But there were certain of the scribes sitting there and reasoning in their hearts, who does he think he is? That's their question. Who is this man that thinks that he can just come in here and forgive sins? Now notice in this moment, even though he is doing his assignment, doing what he is called to do, operating in our calls does not mean that we will operate without opposition. We see that clearly with Jesus, that someone isn't happy. His actions were upsetting to the scribes. It felt dangerous to them. These were professional men trained in the Jewish law, and they were witnessing what appeared to be, or what felt like, a threat to what they always knew. Their interest was really to preserve the Jewish faith. They liked things just as they were. But notice that they're reasoning in their hearts. They're not opening their mouths. They say nothing out loud. Their issue in their hearts, they're thinking, who is this man that comes in here with the audacity to say that he can forgive sin. They feel in some way that he has overstepped, and they presume that he's operating in some sort of authority of his own and not operating in the law. In fact, he seems to disregard the very law that they esteem. And in many ways, he is breaking both social and religious order. So that's a problem for them. So they're seeking accusation against him. They are accusing Jesus now of blasphemies and the fact that he seems to make himself God. Who else can forgive sin but God? In verses 8 and 9, Jesus, with his discernment, picks up on this reasoning in their hearts, the thoughts in their head, and he begins, even though they have not spoken aloud, he begins to speak to what is at issue in their heads. Jesus responds to their thoughts, and he pushes back on them. He has a question. He says, well, what would have been easier to say that this man had been forgiven or that he'd been healed? This man needed to have both, but he's saying, it clearly would be easier. In fact, this question is kind of rhetorical. It is absolutely easier just to say to someone, I forgive your sins, but there's no real way to know that their sin had been forgiven. Those are words, and the person goes on, and you really don't know. When did the work happen? Were they forgiven then? What happened? Jesus says, it'd be different if I said he was healed and he got up and just started walking. So I'll tell you what, in verses 10 and 11, just so that you will know that I am who I say I am, just so you'll know that I have the authority that I say that I have, I'm going to go ahead, and Jesus performs a miracle right before them. It was easy to use their words, which is what they were used to doing, but they did not have the authority to perform the miracles that Jesus did. He did the difficult thing. He did the thing that only he could do. And he says that this was done for a purpose. It was to put his power on display. He was fully God and fully man, and he had the power, the ability, the authority to forgive sin and to heal this man. In fact, he tells the man, arise, take up your bed and walk. Again, I see that there is a responsibility inside of our own healing, not only to call for people who can support us when we need that, but when the word from God is given, this man obeys the word. There's a responsibility that he has to get up, not someone to lift him up, but you, sir, get up, take up your bed and go. Let's talk about this bed for just a moment, because this bed has been mentioned again and again. It's a mat, it's a stretcher. But if you go back and look at this passage, this bed has been present when he was laying on it. His friends carried it. They lowered it into a roof. Jesus speaks about it specifically as he calls out his healing, and then tells the man to pack up this bed and take it with you. Why would Jesus ask for the man to take the bed with him? We don't exactly get to find out, but what we do know is that he had not only the strength to stand and carry the weight of his own body, which he had not done before, but he absolutely had the strength to carry out the bed that he had been brought in on. Perhaps he carried it out as a testimony of what God had done for him. His results were immediate. We learn this in verse 12, that immediately he did just what God told him to do, what Jesus said do. He got up, he picked up his bed, and he went out, and everyone witnessed it. And the reaction to what Jesus had done was just the same as when Jesus touches in our lives today. They were amazed, and this caused them to glorify God. Let's insert this for just a moment, that miracles are not for believers. The miracles are for the unbeliever, that they may see the power of God in action. Miracles are not just for the recipient, but miracles are designed to bring glory and honor to God. And it caused these people to say, well, I guess there's a first time for everything. Listen, as a church kid, when I ended this passage, the only thing I wanted to know was who was calling the roof company? Was there an insurance claim? Who was going to be responsible for fixing the roof? Gotta wrap up, but before I do, I definitely want to share with you my key learnings from this week. The first is that there should always be a response to Jesus. There should be a response when he's in the house. We should get excited and never take for granted his presence. The second thing is that although there was a crowd, Jesus was not focused on the crowd. He was focused on preaching the gospel. There wasn't a person at the door standing with a clicker. There wasn't an analytics team to look at the numbers. And don't get me wrong, I love data. I love the numbers. I watch my own. But the focus of the ministry that I do is not the numbers. I taught one student when I had one student. I teach one like it's 100 because we must stay focused that our assignment is to teach, preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. Next, there are people who cannot bring themselves to Jesus. They cannot do it. They don't have the strength. And we must be those people who can get them to Jesus, that we have the sensitivity and the awareness and the wherewithal to put in the effort to get those people to Jesus. We've got to be careful who we choose and who we call friends. Do they behave as friends? Do they have those sensitivities toward you? Do they care about you? Do they want the best for you? Will they exhaust every effort to help you get in the best position that you can be? And can they pray for you? Will those friends get you to Jesus? We also want to be those friends to other people. Be the one that can pray for someone. Be the one who's sensitive. Be the one who can get the other to Jesus. Finally, we've got to trust God for healing. He is so able. He's able to heal whatever comes into our space, our bodies, our finances. He's able to heal relationships. He is a healer. And this lesson is on physical healing. There are many of you that testify of the healing power of God in your lives. And you know what? If that's something that you're willing to share in the comments as a testimony to someone else, I would love to see your testimonies. But there are also some of you who are sitting in spaces where you need healing and you're believing God for that. I invite you, if you will have me in your prayer circle, in your tribe that's praying, in your faith tribe, I am happy to join that tribe of people who believe God for you. You are welcome. If you'd like all of this community to pray, feel free to put it in the comments. If it's more personal, I invite you to email me at info@ThatSundaySchoolGirl.com. And yes, I won't just say it. I will actively pray for you, putting you on my list and calling you by name. I believe God. He is a healer. And I hope this lesson focuses you on the healing power of God and puts you in a space of gratitude for the fact that God can, God does, and God will heal. This is our lesson. I love y'all so much. I'll see you in Sunday school. Bye, everybody. This bag makes a great gift for teachers, and of course, there's a church school version as well. Visit my Etsy store for this and other great items, and look down below this video for t-shirts for all ages and sizes.
Sunday.